Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. How y'all feeling? Hallelujah. Blessed be Yahweh our King. We thank the mighty King for our lives, food, clothing, and shelter, wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. I'm grateful to this mighty King for my life and for all the lives of all the people that are here, the people that are online. Pray that the Most High God be with us all. Hallelujah. You may be seated, thanking the Creator of heaven and earth for life, food, clothing, and shelter. Once again, I'm grateful to the mighty King because He is good and His mercy endures forever. Amen. Like I said earlier, let's keep our prayers up for, brothers and sisters that have been deployed. And let's keep our prayers up that we don't have to face any kind of abnormalities when it comes to when men create wars and people's egos get in the way. So it's very important for us to keep our prayers up, to keep our brothers safe, and we do know that prayers help. So let's keep our prayers up. We pray that the Most High God be with all of our people, wherever they might be. Hallelujah. This time, we could start Book of Amos, chapter 1.
We're in the book of
a quick. The prophet Amos was a prophet from. He's actually from Yehuda. Tekoa is in Yehuda, but he prophesied in the northern kingdom. The Most High sent them from Tekoa all the way to the northern kingdom to prophesy. We know at this time, Israel is divided into two kingdoms, and to the northern and the southern kingdom, that they have two kings. They have two leaders separate from each other because the Most High God told Solomon that he would split the kingdom, not in his time, but during his son's time. And that's what happened. You had Rehoboam and you had Jeroboam, and that created the northern and the southern kingdom. And that's the way Israel was divided. 10 tribes versus 2 tribes or 3 tribes down in the southern kingdom. And this is the way our history had been since the time of Solomon. So at this time, the prophet Amos is actually prophesying to the northern kingdom. Now, during this time, the northern kingdom is prospering. The northern kingdom is on top of its game, not spiritually, but it's like societies where people begin to get rich and they begin to not care about the poor. They begin to abuse the poor. This is what began to happen in the northern kingdom. The rich continue to get rich and the poor continue to get poor. Does it sound familiar? Sound familiar, right? So these are the things that begin to happen during the northern kingdom before the Assyrians come in there and they begin to wreak havoc upon these people. So let's take it from the book of Amos chapter 1, starting from verse 1.
We're in the book of Amos chapter 1 verse 1. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
The words of Amos, who was among the herdmen of Tekoa, which he saw concerning Yisrael in the days of Uzziel, king of Yehuda, and in the days of Jeroboam, the son of Joash, king of Yisrael, 2 years before the earthquake.
So right here, he prophesied during the times of Uzziel, king of Judah, and Jeroboam, son of Joash, king of Israel, 2 years before the earthquake. Now, this earthquake that they're speaking about, they said could have happened about 760 BCE, before the Common Era. It was a well-known earthquake. It was supposedly recorded through the history of the people in that region, that there was a great catastrophe that happened. So this is what they're pointing out. Let us go.
And he said, Yahweh roareth from Zion, and uttereth his voice from Jerusalem. And the pastures of the shepherds shall mourn, and the top of Carmel shall wither.
And the top of Carmel shall wither. So, and he said, Yahweh roareth. So remember, he's coming from the southern kingdom. So he's coming up to the northern kingdom. And that's not, you coming from a whole different, at this point, nation. Yeah. A whole different kingdom, although they are all Israel, but it was a separation. So you come and talk and jump from where you're at up to us. Mm-hmm. This is what Amos is doing at this point. So he's saying, Yahweh from Zion and uttereth his voice from Jerusalem, because he's coming from the south. The pastures of the shepherds shall mourn, and the top of Carmel shall wither. Meaning that your flocks are going to die, right? And the top of Carmel, meaning where the sheep go and graze, all that's going to be dead. They're going to have nowhere to go and eat. Mm-hmm. Let us go.
Thus saith Jehovah, for 3 transgressions of Damascus, yea, for 4, I will not reverse it. Because they have threshed Gilead with sledges of iron. So will I send the fire into the house of Hazael, and it shall devour the palaces of Ben-Hadad. Mm-hmm. And I will break the bar of Damascus, and cut off the inhabitant from Bekat Aven. Mm-hmm. And him that beholdeth the scepter from Beit Eden, and the people of Aram shall go into captivity unto Kir, saith Jehovah.
So now, he comes to them, and the prophecy begins with your northern neighbors. Damascus is north of Israel, which is today modern-day Syria, right? Damascus is the capital of Syria. You heard it, if you've been listening to the news for the last 4 or 5 years, you've been hearing about this civil war going on in Syria, and the capital being Damascus. So the prophet starts off going to Israel, telling the people, listen, your neighbors in the north, the Most High God is going to exact, revenge upon them for what they've done. Right. And all the things they've been doing, because remember, all people belong to the Most High. Right. So if you do harm to one that don't necessarily have to be Israel, but you could do harm to another nation, right, and they're all God's people. Uh-oh. If the Most High God sees it to be unfair, or you trying to bully someone, then therefore the Most High God comes in and exacts his judgment, because the Most High God likes a just weight and a just balance. So therefore God is, the people in Israel is like, yeah, the Syrians, they're going to get tap. We're with that, Prophet Amos. Continue. Let us go.
Verse 6, thus saith Jehovah, for 3 transgressions of Gaza, yea, for 4, I will not reverse it, because they carried away captive a whole captivity, to deliver them up to Edom. So will I send the fire on the wall of Gaza, and shall devour the palaces thereof. And I will cut off the inhabitant from Ashdod, and him that holdeth the scepter from Ashkelon. And I will turn my hand against Ekron, and a remnant of the Philistines shall perish, saith Jehovah God.
So Gaza is Philistia. He's talking about the giants, the people of Goliath, saying they are our neighbors to the west, right alongside the Mediterranean Sea. So when you look at Israel, the way you look at Israel, the Mediterranean Sea is west of us. So God is telling the people of Israel, listen, through the prophet Amos, he said, listen, Gaza, for what you've done, and all the iniquities that you've done, and all of the atrocities that you've done, say you're going to get a punishment. So the people in Israel is like, we must be righteous, because we're prospering, and the prophet is here telling us what the Most High God is going to do with all the other people that's surrounding us. Now it's going in a circle. We going from north, and now we going west, right? Which is Gaza and Philistia. Let's go.
Thus saith Jehovah, for 3 transgressions of Tyre, yea, for 4, I will not reverse it, because they delivered up a whole captivity to Edom, and remember not the brotherly covenant. So will I send the fire on the wall of Tyre, and it shall devour the palaces thereof.
So we see later in this history, that Tyre gets invaded by the Babylonians. And then the Babylonians couldn't quite, they had them under siege for 13 years, but could not quite destroy them completely, because Tyre had an island that was off a mile into the sea. So they laughed at the Babylonians. Now the Babylonians destroyed the actual land of Tyre that was on the mainland, but they couldn't get all the people, because the people from Tyre were sailors, and they had a navy. But years later, a few hundred years later, came a man by the name of Alexander the Great. He built a causeway all the way out to that island and burned down their walls. So that prophecy actually hasn't come to pass yet, although we read it already. Remember, history went back. This is not in chronological order. We're now talking about the northern kingdom. Before we were reading about Judah and the southern kingdom. Remember, the northern kingdom goes into captivity before Judah. They go into captivity before. So although we already read about Judah's captivity, we're just going backwards in history. That's all this is. So now, the people of Israel are saying, wow, the people from Tyre are also going to get punishment? We're doing great. God is great. Yehovah Hu Ha Elohim. The people are like, no, they doing wickedness. They know that they're doing wickedness, but you know what they're doing? They're committing the sin, and they have the lamb waiting to go offer it up. So they think of the sin before they go offer up something, and then they go offer it up and say, God is going to forgive me. And this is the punishment that the people are going to, the Most High God is going to bestow on the people, because we think of the evil that we're going to do. We put a lamb on the stash, and then we go do the evil, and then we go play games with God. That's why the Most High God said, away with your sacrifices, that obedience is better. Let us go.
Thus saith Jehovah, for 3 transgressions of Edom, yea, for 4 I will not reverse it, because he did pursue his brother with the sword, and did cast off all pity, and his anger did tear perpetually, and he kept his wrath forever. So will I send a fire upon Teman, and it shall devour the palaces of Bozrah.
Edom never forgot. Edom never forgot. He never forgot what Yaakov did to him. So forever, that enmity was between the blood of Edom, right, which is Esau, and Israel. So he never forgave us, so he would take raids into Israel. He would take raids into the southern region of Judah and catch people captive, kill people. This was an ongoing thing. So therefore, now the children of Israel of the northern kingdom is like, God is great, because all of our enemies are being punished. God, we must be righteous. Let us go.
Thus saith Jehovah, for 3 transgressions of the children of Ammon, yea, for 4 I will not reverse it, because they have ripped up the women with child of Gilead, that they might enlarge their border. So will I kindle a fire in the wall of Rabbah, and it shall devour the palaces thereof, with shouting in the day of battle, with the tempest in the day of the whirlwind, and their king shall go into captivity, he and his princes together, saith Jehovah.
God said he's going to send them into captivity, him and his princes, because of what they did to the people in Gilead. I believe Gilead is if I'm not mistaken, is the first place we came into in the land, when I believe it was around Jericho, somewhere around there. I could be mistaken, but I believe that's killing. So they was doing the same thing. They was raiding, they was killing people, they was sending people into captivity. So God said he's going to repay them all. Why? Because all people are God's people. So therefore, all people will get punished. All people will get punished. But let us read chapter 2.
Chapter 2, hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Thus saith Jehovah, for 3 transgressions of Moab, yea, for 4 I will not reverse it, because he burned the bones of the king of Edom into lime. So will I send the fire upon Moab, and it shall devour the palaces of Keriot. And Moab shall die with tumult, with shouting, and with the sound of the horn. And I will cut off the judge from the midst thereof, and will slay all the princes thereof with him, saith Jehovah.
Saith Jehovah. So for what Moab did to, what it says here, to the king of Edom, the bones of the king of Edom, God said he's going to repay Moab for what he did to the Edomites. So this is not just God repaying nations for what they did to Israel or what they did to Judah. It's God is repaying these nations for what they did to one another. He's going down the line, and he's telling them straight out, the children of Israel, what's going to happen. And they are elated at this point, because he's not talking about us. About time a prophet came, and he's not talking about us. We feel great. We're prosperous. Everything is working out in our favor. We must be doing something right. Let us go on, my brother.
Thus saith Jehovah, for 3 transgressions of Yehudah, yea, for 4 I will not reverse it, because they have rejected the law of Jehovah, and have not kept his statutes, and their lies have caused them to err, and which their fathers did walk, so will I send a fire upon Yehuda, and it shall devour the palaces of
They
Jerusalem.
said, hold on now. Yehuda, although we're two different nations, it's still not us. That's Yehuda. It's not talking about Samaria. It's not talking about the northern kingdom. He just said Yehuda, right? Yeah, he said Yehuda. Oh, they wicked too. They wicked too, so we're better than them. You know, we're clearly better than them. We're in a better stead with God than our own neighboring brothers in the south kingdom is with him. So we're doing good. We great. Aren't we great, Yohanathan? We're great. We're great. We're doing good. Hey, Levite, are we doing good?
Great.
Metsuyon, you're doing good. You're doing great. Cold toe. Everything is copacetic. All my little Hebrew words that I know. Yeah, everything is good. Tov male. And they're feeling good about themselves because the prophet went all over the world and hasn't mentioned them. But let's see what he says.
Thus saith Yahweh, for 3 transgressions of Yisrael, yea, for 4 I will not reverse it. Because they sell the righteous for silver and the needy for a pair of shoes.
You hear that? They sell the righteous for silver and the needy for a pair of shoes. We were not practicing Torah. We began to pick up the ways and the customs of the heathens. We began to lend to our brothers and sisters and applying interest to it. That's against Torah.
That's right.
When you lend to an Israelite, you're not supposed to get back interest with that money. Only thing you're supposed to get is the principal. You ever get a mortgage for a home? You pay more interest than you do the principal by the time you finish paying that home. You get a credit card, the interest be like 17, 18%. And you keep paying this little bit of, you keep paying the minimum. 10 years go past before you could pay off everything when you look at the balloon payments that you made. Crazy. If you pay college loans, you understand what that is. They don't allow you to come out of debt. So therefore, the society is not set up for the middle class and for the lower class. It's set up for the rich. Because only the rich can say, here you go, daughter, here go $200,000, pay off college. Right. Here go $400,000. This is your college graduation gift. I'm going to pay off your college loan, and I'm going to set you up in a home, and I'm going to buy you a Ferrari. I'm going to buy you a Ferrari. Now, if you're starting ahead in life like that, things will go much more better for you because you don't have to pay college loans. You don't have to do any of that. But we were abusing each other as God's people. We were lending with interest. We were doing all the things that were contrary to the laws of the Creator, which we ought not be doing. Let us go.
That pant after the dust of the earth on the head of the poor. Verse 7. And turn aside the way of the humble, and the man and his father go into the same maid.
What? Repeat that.
And turn aside the way of the humble, and the man and his father go into the same maid to profane my holy name.
To profane my holy name. It's not talking about, this is not even talking about a temple harlot where they had in those times women that were separated, the Quadesha woman that was separated for religious rights of the other nations. Basically Baal Peor. This is talking about we was in the land and we got so far that a man and his son was having sexual affairs with the same woman. Sharing women. That's low tov in Torah.
Low tov.
It's low tov in Torah for brothers to do it. It's low tov in Torah for man and his father to do it. It's a combination of things. Right. That's how far we got. But we was celebrating when all the other nations was getting their punishment. But now it's mum. Mum is the word. No one is saying anything. Why? Because they don't like what they're hearing. They was hooray when the other nations was getting their punishment. But now they not liking what they hearing. What are you talking about? You know what he's talking about. You did that last week. You and your son, you know.
Yep.
You and your son did that. Didn't y'all knock off that same girl?
Mm-hmm.
But come on, man, she was loose girl. But so what? He talking about you.
Mm-hmm.
That's what God is talking about. And this is what the message that the prophet is bringing, and he's bringing their shame to their faces.
Yep.
Let's go.
And they lay themselves down beside every altar upon clothes taken in pledge. And in the house of their God they drink the wine of them that have been fined.
You see that? And they lay themselves down beside every altar upon clothes taken in pledge. What the Most High God says about taking something in pledge.
Give it back and sun down.
Give it down before the sun even go down. Why? Because that might be that man's only garment.
That's right.
How the man is a mechanic, you taking pledge means like collateral, like you pawn in something, they give you money, and then you work it off or whatever, you work it off, and then you bring the money back, and they give you whatever is it that you gave for pledge. So today we do it with jewelry, we do it with things of that nature because jewelry has value. Some people might do it with electronics, but back then, people were doing it with clothing. That was the only thing they could offer. And God told us, it said, if a man comes with a piece of clothing for you, if that's all he has, or that's all she has, give that back. Right. Don't take a man's upper millstone for pledge, because if that's the way he works, that's the way he grinds the grain, right, or separates the shaft from the grain, how is he going to pay you back if you took away his tools to work? Right. That's like going to a mechanic and say, I want all your tools for collateral, and then you still got to pay me back. Well, how is he going to make the money back? How is he going to make? That's like a moving company or a guy who does moving jobs. You take away his moving truck. How is he going to ever pay you your money back if you're taking away the tool that he needs to make money? Right. So this is what the Most High God is saying that the people in the northern kingdom are doing. They are taking away the pledge from the people, right, that they're supposed to give back. And this is wickedness before the Creator. Let us go.
Verse 9. Yet destroyed I the Amorite before them, whose height was like the height of the cedars, and he was strong as the oaks. Yet I destroyed his fruit from above and his roots from beneath. Also, I brought you up out of the land of Egypt and led you 40 years in the wilderness to possess the land of the Amorite. And I raised up of your sons for prophets and of your young men for Nazarites. Is it not even thus, O ye children of Yisrael, saith Jehovah? But ye gave the Nazarites wine to drink and commanded the prophets, saying, prophesy not.
This is how wicked we became. Now, what's the law of the Nazarite? Anybody? Don't wine.
No
anything that comes from the vine. And what? And that should not shave his head. The hair off his body, right? So now at this time, God is through the prophet is saying, listen, I took the Amorites out of the land that y'all was scared of. Because remember, when we first went into the land, why it cost us 40 years in the wilderness is that we came back with a what? With a false report. It said the people of the land are giants. Caleb and Yehoshua was like, let's go in.
Let's do it.
They fooled. But we were scared. No, they're giants. God said, I destroyed them. God said, Egypt was the superpower at that time. Through my might, I caused y'all to walk through the sea of reeds. I destroyed them. I did all that for you. And you came into the land. Nazarites are consecrated people. They go the extra mile. Common people that go and say, I'm going to dedicate myself to Yah. I'm going to grow my hair out like Samson. He was a Nazarite. So I'm going to grow my hair out, and I'm not allowed to drink wine or any strong drink or anything that comes from the vine because my dedication is to Yah. They don't get attracted to the common because they are in a holy space. They're just a step below the priest. Because that's the dedication that they make. Just like when you see those Chinese movies and they got the monks, and the monks is in whatever the school, monk school or whatever, they got to refrain from so many things because that's part of being a monk. Part of being a Nazarite, they got to refrain from certain things in order to get into that stand with the Most High God, or to get into that space with the Creator. And these are the people that cause holiness within the land. And he said, we were so wicked that we convinced the Nazarite to drink wine. That's how low we fell. Let us go, my brother.
Verse 13. Behold, I will make it creak under you, as a cart creaketh that is full of sheaves, and flight shall fail the swift, and the strong shall not exert his strength, neither shall the mighty deliver himself.
Most High God said, I'm going to make it creak. You know why the cart creaks? Because it's too heavy. That means you can't move fast enough. God said he's going to begin to break us down, and when we think to flee or to get away, what's going to happen is that you're going to act like you're stuck in mud or in quicksand. You can't go anywhere. This is what the Creator said he's going to do to us. Why? Because his punishment has to come down upon us. Let us go.
Neither shall he stand that handleth the bow, and he that is... Did I read that part?
Go ahead. And he that is swift of foot shall not deliver himself.
Cain. Neither shall he that handleth the bow, and he that is swift of foot shall not deliver himself.
He can't deliver himself. You're not going to be fast enough. You ever being in that dream? Yeah. You ever been in that dream where you try to run? Yeah. And it just seems like the hallway is getting longer and longer. And whatever's chasing you is right on you. And you, like, in your mind, you say, I run faster than this. And whatever it is, or that dream where you're falling, and then before you hit the floor, boom, you wake up. That's what it's saying. You're gonna be running, and it's gonna be just like that dream. But only thing is that this is gonna be reality. You're gonna get destroyed. This is for the northern kingdom, for the evil that you've done. Let's go.
Neither shall he that rideth the horse deliver himself, and he that is courageous among the mighty shall flee away naked in that day, saith Yahweh.
He that is courageous among the mighty shall flee away naked in that day, saith Yahweh. Because God will take your heart away from you. Because when you're doing wickedness, you're not as bold as a lion.
That's right.
It said the righteous is what?
Bold as a lion.
When you know you're right, you fight the world. When you know you're right, you will stand for your righteousness at all costs. And those people are hard to defeat. Because they're fighting for a cause. That's right. They're fighting for what's right. But when you're wrong, they say you're gonna walk. You say you're gonna run away naked. That's how they're going. And what that symbolizes is the captivity. When they come and get you, they're going to embarrass you. They're going to strip you of all your clothes, and you're going to be walking around with no clothes on. That's how the Assyrians is going to come, and that's what they're going to do to you. And furthermore, when they come, they're going to send you to another land. And they're going to separate each families and send them to different lands to where you can't come back together. That's what the Assyrians used to do. But we play around with our God like he's a joke God, but he's the God that exacts judgment upon his people. And all his people are people of the world. So people get judgment exacted on them, and God has allowed it. Blessed be his name. Let us go.
Hear this word that Yahweh hath spoken against you, O children of Yisrael, against the whole family which I brought up out of the land of Egypt, saying, you only have I known of all the families of the earth. Therefore I will visit upon you all your iniquity.
That means there's accountability.
That's right.
God said, you only have I known of all the families of the earth. There's accountability. Because like our teachers always told us, it was our job to teach what? The word.
That's right.
So therefore, because you went reprobate, you did what you wanted to do, you went backwards, therefore, all these nations that I mentioned that I'm going to punish is because of you. Because if you had done that which was supposed to be good and right when you came into the land, you would have been a great influence on all the other nations around you. But no, we allow the Baalim to remain in the land. We allow the party girls to remain in the land. We allowed all the wickedness that was happening to remain in the land where God was with us at the zenith of us as a people coming out of Egypt. But we allowed it all to happen. Later in history, King Solomon began to build palaces and houses of worship for foreign women. This is our history. This is what we did. During the time of the judges, we were doing whatever it said. Israel did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord. Once again, every time you started a new chapter, and the children of Israel did that which is evil in the sight of the Lord. So God had to punish. So this right here is a culmination of all of that. It's a buildup of all of that. Judges, Solomon, the kings, the northern, southern kings. It's a buildup of all of this, and God was tired with us. Mm-hmm. So therefore the punishment came. And in the name of other nations, Assyrians, Babylonians, Persians, and the Medes. And the stick of correction came behind it. Let us go.
Will two walk together except they have agreed?
These are a bunch of rhetorical questions that we know the answers to, right? Can two walk together unless they agree?
No.
Even two thieves, right? Two thieves agree that they're thieves and they're going to steal. They got to agree on that. Yeah, because if you're going to go do it, you got to be in the same accord and the same mind. Even if you're going to go do something wicked, you got to agree. Whether it's right or whether it's wrong, you got to agree in what you're going to do. So can two walk together unless they agree?
No.
No. Let us go.
Will a lion roar in the forest when he hath no prey?
Why will a lion roar when he has no prey? If he's roaring in the forest and he has no prey, when the prey comes near, they're going to run away. They say a lion is around. But you ever see a lion? When he's about ready to catch the prey, he's quiet. And he's like this, he's crouching. The prey is like, the impala is like, something that smells. By the time he goes like this again, that lion is on him. Then he makes noise. That's when he makes noise. He don't make noise. Now when he kills him, when he takes the breath of life from the impala, then you, he got his kill and he begins to eat. But he's not going to make noise prior to him catching the prey because the prey is going to run away. Mm-hmm. Say lion, and if the impala gets a running start, the lion cannot catch him. Can't catch him. Let us go.
Will a young lion give forth his voice out of his den if he have taken nothing?
No, he's not going to do that. Let's go.
Will a bird fall in a snare upon the earth where there is no law for it?
Yeah, because a bird is not going to be attracted to a snare, right? If it's a snare, it's a trap. Right. So when you put a trap down for a bird, you got to put food there. He was baited there, right? So he goes in there, whatever system you got there, right? Let's say, oh, bird food, and then the cage, bow. Got it. Like I watched this show, Swamp People. They hunt gators. So they got to put the type of bait that gators like. Mm-hmm. Gators like stinking, rotten chicken. Mm. So they put the rotten chicken on trees that hang low, on the rivers where the gators be at, and they put it on a string with hooks. And the gators come out of the water, they jump out of the water, and hop. They eat the chicken, but they also got the hook in their mouth. So when the swamp people come back around, which is the hunters, the gator's still alive. He just hooked on to the tree. He can't move. So then they got to grab the string, steady him, and the gator know he be spinning. But they got to steady him, and somebody got to come with a weapon and shoot him right between the eyes. Pow! And then bring them in the boat. That's how you get your gator skin shoes and your gator bags and all that stuff, because these people hunt alligators. But without the bait, you can't get them. Right. You can't lure the gator without a bait. No, it's not going to happen. It's going to be a useless kind of hunt. Let's go.
Will a snare spring up from the ground and have taken nothing at all?
Yeah. Will the bear trap spring up from the ground and a bear didn't step on it? Mm-hmm. Or a fox or something? It's going to spring up when something hits it. Right. The mouse trap goes off, bow. When the mouse, sometimes you catch it, sometimes you don't. But the mouse walked on it. Mm-hmm. Doesn't just go off on his own. Right. Let us go.
Shall a horn be blown in the city and the people not tremble?
You hear that? Shall a horn be blown in the city and the people not tremble? Like I said earlier, we don't know what war is on mainland America. But believe me, there's sirens out there. There's sirens out there that's going to warn you if something happens here. An attack is imminent. Prepare. In Jerusalem, that's what they got. When them rockets come over from the Palestinians, right? They got horns. Bam, meaning prepare. We don't know where it's going to land, but it's coming. Go to the fallout shelters. Hide yourself. Protect yourself. Because it's coming. Let's go.
Shall evil befall the city and Yahweh have not done it?
Shall evil befall the city and Yahweh have not done it? So everything comes from God.
That's right.
Good and evil. Am I right or wrong?
That's right.
So we attribute things to a devil, and the devil don't control anything. There is no entity that opposes God's power or that has the same equal power as God that God cannot control. Amen. So when people say that Christians say the devil made me do it, you a darn lie. You did it to yourself.
That's right.
Because though nothing has power over God.
That's right.
Even J.C. when he was on the mountain, I believe it's like Matthew chapter 4 or something like that. Mm-hmm. It said, and the devil was tempting him. Say he was tempting him. And what he started to do, he started to quote Tanakh.
Right.
He even said, Shema Yisrael, Yehovah Eloheinu, Yehovah Echad. That's what JC said. No. But they tell us that he's 3 in 1.
Lying.
They tell us that the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost are all 3 in 1. Right? And that we must all revere and respect them all the same way. But he said, Shema Yisrael, Yehovah Eloheinu, Yehovah Echad. Mm-hmm. He said that. He didn't put himself in the same status as the Creator. No. He said, Yah is one. Christians say, in order to come to the Father, you must first accept the Son. God said he's one. God said, confess your sins unto me.
That's right.
He's the one that's going to clear you of your sins, not a man. You can't come to a man that was on this earth, died, and then allegedly was resurrected 3 days later. The Most High God don't play that. Our God is a righteous God. He's the one with all the power and all the might. Can nothing or no one else have the power that our great God? He answers to no one. But Chief, he did say, let us make man in our image after our own likeness. Who was the let us that he was speaking to? It was his creation and everything that was before him. And it was the wisdom that he employed to make man. All the elements and all the parts of the earth that he commands. He said he speak and the mountains shift.
That's right.
Then he said that he would take the mountains and be witness against us.
Yes, sir.
So if he has the power to make what we think is inanimate objects be witnesses against us, that means these things live before him and they praise him. It said the birds will praise him. Because man is not reliable. God said if he was hungry, he will not tell us.
That's right.
Why? Because we're not reliable. He said, cattle upon 1,000 hills belong unto me. He said, if I was hungry, I'd cook it up myself. He said, if I was hungry, he said, you're not reliable, Yisrael. You led the world astray. Our people caught up in the biggest lie that ever been perpetrated in the world. And that was that JC is God. And we dumb and blind to that. But I don't think he's a God. I think he's just a prophet. He was nothing. He was nothing.
Nothing.
Because if we only had Torah,
That's right.
the prophets would be nothing. We have to listen to nothing the prophets have to say. All we needed would be Torah. The first 5 books for us to be able to live. The prophets and the writings and all that stuff, that's just icing on the cake, but we don't need that. We need Torah.
Jabir.
But you know, he's the way, he's the light. And you can't get to the Father without him. So what about Moses?
Okay.
Moses didn't know him. What about Abraham? Abraham didn't know him. What about Joshua? Did Joshua ever know him?
Never heard of him.
What about, say, they all came before that supposed birth. What about Samuel?
That's right.
What about all the prophets in the Old Testament? What about Amos? What about Isaiah? What about Jeremiah? Come on now, talk to me. If he's the way, and to get to him, and to get to the Father, you gotta go through him. What about all those men? Are they cursed? And are they doomed to burn in the lake of fire? I don't think so. Those men left with great names. In fact, God told us, he said, look unto Abraham and be like unto him. He didn't tell us that look unto JC and be like unto him. God told us to look unto Abraham. He's the example. He said he was wholehearted. You know what wholehearted meant? He was perfect. Once he was 75 and God called him to his duty, he was a perfect man. God said, look unto him and look unto his wife, Sarah. So those are your examples. He didn't say JC. He didn't say a man that came and was grabbed and was put on a cross and was crucified and couldn't even defend himself. Humiliated. It said, my God, why has thou forsaken me? But if he's God, right? If he's God, you can levitate yourself right off that cross.
Yeah.
Like the Matrix. You ever seen the Matrix when what was her name? She goes up in the air like this. Yeah, you can levitate yourself right off of that. Even the 2 thieves that was next to me said, if you be the Son of God, do something.
Yeah.
They said, here's your chance now. Let's go.
Yeah.
But who he had to cry to?
Huh.
He said, my God, why hast thou forsaken me? David said, I've been young, and now I'm old.
Yet.
He said, yet have I never seen the righteous forsaken, nor his seed begging bread. So if you was righteous, you would never be forsaken.
Hallelujah.
God don't forsake the righteous.
Amen.
Talk to me. God don't forsake the righteous. God is righteousness.
Amen.
Yah is righteousness. He deals with a just weight and a just balance. So therefore, he's not going to let things happen to you that are not supposed to happen to you. Let us go. Let's finish off because I could go off on a tangent. Let's go.
Verse 7. For your whole God will do nothing, but he revealeth his counsel unto his servants, the prophets.
He said he revealeth his counsel unto his servants, the prophets. Right. So therefore, if JC was a prophet, he should have known what was coming and take flight. Right. Who was it? Was it Elijah? Or it was Elijah that went and ran and hid in a cave, right? It was Elijah. He hid in a cave. He said, no, the people, and said that wicked man and his wife is down there looking for me. He tried to kill me. I'm out of here. They had to come and look for Elijah. They had to come look for him. He said, look, Elijah. He said, he sent the captain with 50. It said, God, a man, no, man of God, come down here now. Elijah said, if I be the man of God, let lightning come down from heaven and hit all of them. And what happened? Lightning came from
down.
heaven.
That's right.
And so the next 50 came and said, man of God, prophet of God, come down here now because the king want to see. He said, if I be a prophet of the Lord, let lightning come down from heaven and fire come down from heaven and consume them all. And that's what happened. The third one used a little bit more wisdom.
Yeah.
Said, look.
I ain't trying to die.
In case you didn't know, I stashed the prophets of the Lord.
Yeah, let me tell you what I did.
Let me tell you what I did. I heard about the 100 that came here, and I heard what happened to them. Can you please, please just come down? He came right. He said the right words. And God got his glory. The whole point of this is Yah gets his glory. You don't couple God's name with anyone else. That's why the story is a fallacy. Fallacy meaning a lie. Because if he was a prophet of the Lord, he would have known what was coming. And if he was righteous, he would not die. So Christians tell you, they say, you know, but he is the light, and through him we saved from sin. Because he came and he died and he saved the world from sin. This is what they tell us, right? But God don't take human sacrifices. Mm-hmm. Yeah, God don't take human sacrifices. You ever seen any human be sacrificed in a book and it's accepted? Mm. When, what's his name? Yiftach? Mm-hmm. Who was it that sacrificed his daughter? That didn't mean God would accepted that. Mm-hmm. That was his own mind. Well, God don't tell you in any of his offerings to sacrifice a human being. That's right. So why would he send his son on the earth to be sacrificed? Mm-hmm. Talk to me. You're supposed to protect your kids. Thank you. Thank you, Chief Prince. I caught it a little bit late, but thank you for that line. Let us go.
The lion hath roared. Who will not fear? Yahweh hath spoken. Yeah. Who can but prophesy? Proclaim it upon the palaces at Ashdod and upon the palaces in the land of Egypt, and say, assemble yourselves upon the mountains of Samaria, and behold the great confusions therein and the oppressions in the midst thereof. For they know not to do right, saith Yahweh, who store up violence and robbery in their palaces. Therefore thus saith Yahweh God, an adversary even round about the land, and he shall bring down thy strength from thee, and thy palaces shall be spoiled. Thus saith Yahweh, as the shepherd rescueth out of the mouth of the lion 2 legs or a piece of an ear, so shall the children of Israel that dwell in Samaria escape with the corner of a couch and a leg of a bed.
You hear that? We're going to be scattered. Pieces of us is going to be left in the land. Right? Because the Assyrians is going to bring in different people. Those are the people that adopted the way of the children of Israel. Mm-hmm. But the remainder of us went to other lands. So we're going to be scattered. A leg left here. Mm-hmm. Another leg left over here. The head over there. Piece of the entrails over there. That's what's going to happen to us. But we thought that it was great for us at the beginning when all the other nations was being punished. But we didn't see our own wickedness. Sometimes that's what happens. We could see everybody else's fault, but you can't see your own fault. And that's the worst type of person who judges and look down at people. Mm-hmm. That's why you have to be very careful when you speak to people and when you address people, because you have to look at yourself. Mm-hmm. You have to look at yourself. So there is a way to bring a message to God's people and to someone that's in the midst of you. There is a way to bring the message. Because just the way you point a finger at someone, what they say, when you point one finger, it says 4 is pointing back at you. Mm-hmm. So we have to take account of all of that and understand exactly what is it that we get into and the things that we're into. Right? Christianity has been like a shackle for the children of Israel.
That's right.
It's been something that has held us back for years. That has held us back for years. We are the people that are the most Christian people than the people who created Christianity themselves.
Ain't that something?
We brought spirit into that religion. If you ever been inside of a Catholic church, it's nothing but hymns and hums. I'm serious. Ave Maria. That's how it is. That's how they sing. That's how the Catholic Church, that's how they sing. You go to a black church, they falling out, they rolling on the floor, they speaking in tongues, they doing all types of stuff. Women is jumping up and down, people jumping off the pew and doing rollouts. So we took the praise that belonged to God and we took it to foreign gods. We took that spirit and we gave it to a God that is a no God. And we bow down to him faithfully and pray to him. And he hasn't saved you. He came and he died and he saved the world of sin, but the world is in chaos. And the part that they don't tell you is when he came, he was a... All right, this is what the real story is. When you read our book, when you read in the prophets like Jeremiah, and Jeremiah specifically, it speaks about the branch of Jesse, the shoot. It's saying his name should be Yehovah Zidquenu. Yehovah is our righteousness or something like that, right? Yehovah is righteousness. And that should be his name, right? So, in reality, that the children of Israel are waiting, you are waiting for a Messiah, but that wasn't played up. Because, remember, in that time, when we read Ezekiel 37, it says the stick of Judah and the stick of Ephraim of Israel shall come together and they should become what? One stick. Right? It says, and that seed of Jesse shall sit on the throne. He is an anointed king. Right. But, so in reality, when JJ came, allegedly, he was supposed to be the coming of that Mashiach. Right? He was supposed to be that coming. So they made up that fairy tale about him coming and becoming the Moshiach. But remember, when the time of the Moshiach and when he comes back, it's supposed to be peace. A child should be able to play in the den of snakes. The lion and the goat is going to sit together. That's the time, that utopian world, as they say, when it's going to be nothing but peace. That time hasn't come yet. So that's who he was supposed to be. He was supposed to be that guy. But when they see that none of that stuff happened and that he died and there was more violence in the world than ever before, the Christian Crusades, the Arab Crusades, the Muslim Crusades, that didn't come to pass because there was still war in the world. There was still wickedness and evil. But the time when that man sits on that throne, it's going to be total peace, and that time has not come yet. So therefore, Christianity had to create the second coming story. And that's why now you're waiting for him to come again. Yes. They had to create the book of Revelations. Well, when he comes down, he said he's going to come down on a cloud. And the remnant going to be 144,000. 144,000, because the 144,000, if you do the math, I believe is 12,000 from each tribe. Because remember, he was an Israelite. So 12,000 from each tribe will make it 144,000. That's the remnant. I'm not sure. But 144,000. So that means, in reality, all you Europeans are out of the remnant.
Done.
All you Europeans would be out of the remnant. Because 144,000 is symbolic of the 12 tribes of Israel.
Right.
That's the remnant. But you don't hear me, though. I'm just speaking facts. Our God is great. We don't have to fall into that because we know that the time of the Lord is the time of gloominess and darkness. God is going to judge the earth. We know that. We know it's got to get worse before it gets better. We know it's got to get worse before it gets better. Some of us going to make it. Some of us ain't going to make it. But God still gets his glory.
Amen.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Is that time already, my brother?
Still got it.
Oh, go ahead. Let's finish it out.
Verse 13. Hear ye and testify against the house of Yaakov, saith Jehovah God, Jehovah of hosts. For in the day that I shall visit the transgressions of Yisrael upon him, I will also punish the altars of Beit El, and the horns of the altar shall be cut off and fall to the ground. And I will smite the winter house with the summer house, and the houses of ivory shall perish, and the great houses shall have an end, saith Jehovah. Hallelujah.
The great houses shall have an end because the people got rich. You had estates in the northern kingdom because that's what it became. Hey, I got a house in the northern kingdom. I got a house in this. You know how today people got houses in Miami?
Yeah.
You got houses in up north in New York. You got a house in Cali. That's what started happening. You started taking advantage of the poor, robbing the poor, lending them with interest. All these things began to happen. So God said, all of y'all gonna get, I'm gonna smack all of y'all up. That's what's gonna happen. All of y'all gonna get a smack for what y'all done. So, as God's people, we give glory to His name. We praise His holy name, and we thank Him for these teachings and this understanding. I thank the Most High God for my teachers that taught me this stuff, you know. And then I was able to read on my own and do the research and understand that there is only one God. None of us, all of you that might be out there caught up in between two books that listen to us, right?
Teach us.
I've been denouncing JC for over 30 years,
Amen.
and no lightning ever came down from heaven and struck me. I've known Israelites that lived past 100 years old, right? I've known Israelites that lived a short life, but I've known Christians that lived to 20. So my point is this. Give Yah a try.
That's right.
Let the falsehood go. Because you know the story makes no sense.
That's right.
A man born of a virgin. God said in the beginning, he said, it says, he saw that everything was good. Right? He said, he saw that it was not good that man should dwell alone.
Right.
So, he said, he made a deep sleep fall into the man. He said he did some surgery on the man, took a rib out of the man, and from that rib he formed woman. And God said he brought the woman to who? The man. And when he saw her, he said, this is now bone of my bone and flesh of my flesh. He said, and he called her woman because she came from the man. He said they became one.
Teach.
Saying the man knew his wife Eve. And she conceived and she bore a son. And she called his name Cain. Say he knew his wife again. And when I'm talking about he knew her, I'm not talking about knowing her like, hey, what's your name? My name is so-and-so and so. Knowing her meaning in the sense of going into the blue room. If you don't know what the blue room is, then ask your parents. So after that, it said he had Abel. And that's how man comes into this earth. From the beginning. But yet, millennia of years later, we come with this story and we're supposed to believe it? That she was conceived of the Holy Ghost?
No.
Hallelujah. Blessed be. We good?
Still got time.
You got time? Goodness.